It's an honor to be here with you, ladies and gentlemen. I have to tell you, I'm not on your program. This is the peril of coming in a suit to a rally like this when your keynoter hasn't arrived yet. I just want to tell you something that I think all of us have probably heard at some point in our lives, but it just seems that the elites of our society won't let the country remember it. They won't even recognize it. And I want to speak to you a little bit about my own biography, where I come from. My parents are refugees from the Second World War. It was Hitler and Stalin who drove my mother and father out of their homes. It was Lady Liberty that welcomed them after they had waited their turn in a refugee camp to come legally to this country.
All right.
And it was this experience that instilled in us, their children, the need to recognize that this country, this United States, is most exceptional in the history of man. There is no country, none on earth, that has spilled as much of its blood, spent as much of its treasure to liberate others, regardless of the circumstance of their birth. This country, and only this country, could have won the Cold War.
That's right.
This country, and only this country, could have taken a misstep in a situation as serious as Iraq and have dealt the most devastating loss to Al-Qaeda and our adversaries that they And here's what we have to keep in mind. A people who do not celebrate their victories will not learn the lessons of those victories. You want to know why we beat the Soviet Union? Because while they had a society where first they had purged God, then they had purged individual rights, and then the state stepped in and said, we will tell you where you will study, what you will learn, what you will do, what you will produce, what you will buy, what you will believe. This country, in which the radicals of the radical meeting hall behind us, this country produced a government of limited enumerated powers in which we said government will do those things we can't do for ourselves, and the rest is on our heads. Limited government, individual liberty produced the freest, most prosperous, most innovative society in human history, and that gave us a standard of living that our adversaries could only dream about. The Soviets could not feed their people, could not give them health, could not give them the means so that they could pursue their own interests to develop their own society. And as a result, not only was our society stronger, our military was the strongest, best equipped, best trained, most effective fighting force in human history. In Iraq, 3 years ago we were losing. And then General David Petraeus came along. And he turned to the best fighting force in the world, the United States Marine Corps, and he said, go do what Marines do. So they went knocking on the doors of each hut and they said, hi, we're the United States Marines. No better friend, no worse enemy. We know that there's this group Al-Qaeda that wants to destroy your lives, wants to take your children, especially your women folk, and turn them into mere property. We're not going to let that happen. If you stand with us, we will stand behind you, and no force in this world will move us. The end result is the most dramatic reversal of fortune in military history. We destroyed Al-Qaeda in Iraq. We embarrassed them in the place that matters most to them. And a Sunni tribal chieftain looked at us and gave Bing West, the former Secretary of Defense, a great idea for a book. Gave him his title. He said, "You Americans, you are the strongest tribe. Circumstance of birth, race, religion, gender, circumstance of belief, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is you stand together as Americans." What we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, what we need to do, fellow citizens, is to remind everyone of why we won the Cold War, why we won in Iraq. It's the fact that this is a country in which the government is restricted. The government exists for a purpose. It is limited and enumerated in our Constitution. It does not take upon itself rights that we do not confer to it. This is about our progeny. The generations that sacrificed behind us, beginning in that building for this country, and for every one of us at some point, somebody stood up and said, "I am a free man, I am a free woman. I will be a lawful participant in my government, but I will not allow the government to take rights that I have not conferred upon." There are three heroes of the Cold War, one of whom I was proud to serve. They were Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, His Holiness Pope John Paul II, and the greatest president of my lifetime, Ronald Reagan. Homeland Security can add their names and pictures to those of ours as people who are not content to watch this country adopt every failed policy of the adversaries we've had. The Soviets, who had planned their economies, who had dictated to their peoples what they would do, who had confiscated their properties. We will not allow that to happen, because we will not bequeath to our children, to our progeny, a country that is less free, less prosperous, and less cognizant of the fact that the blessings of liberty are given by God, not by the state. I thank you for an opportunity to stand with you. God's blessing on all of us. And remember, liberty has to be preserved. Benjamin Franklin was told by someone when our country had declared its independence, "Isn't it wonderful that we have a republic?" And he said, "Yes, you have a republic if you can keep it. Let's keep ours."